Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, California Weather Watch Special Edition, January 4th. Taking a look at the infrared satellite imagery, you can clearly see our storm system out here off the coastline going through its rapid developmental stages here. It's just now starting to impact California, and it's going to continue to do so today and on through tomorrow. And again, I want to stress this, the major impacts here are going to be coming over the next 10 days. This storm is going to cause some pretty big impacts across the state, but there are more coming. And that's what's really going to cause the culmination of problems here across the state of California. So heads up, there are more storms coming across the region here. We'll look at those details here in a moment. Now, taking a look here, this is Eureka, California, talking about the very powerful Pacific cyclone rapidly strengthening, heading closer to the west coast here. There are some potential for strong thunderstorms for some areas as well as even some water spouts that they mentioned in here on the area forecast discussion. Just heads up, there's multiple hazards coming up here for the region. Now, taking a look here, National Weather Service, Sacramento. This is a chance for excessive rainfall. You can see the moderate along the coastline here, inland a bit, across the area, slight and marginal elsewhere. And the moderate is a 40% chance of flash flood conditions within any given point, about 25-mile radius here. So you can see all the potential impacts here. So heads up for these conditions coming in, folks. It's going to get nasty for some areas. Very large surf building Thursday into Thursday night. You can see the huge waves for portions of the coast really going to stretch all the way down through Southern California on in through tomorrow as well. Never turn your back on the ocean. Damaging winds are possible as well. You can see the multitude of gusts over 60 miles per hour. Some areas even up over 70 miles per hour all the way down towards Central California. And even as you go down towards Southern California, some pretty strong winds are coming up here. So heads up for these wind impacts. Nice graphic there from the National Weather Service, Eureka, California. This is the high wind warning here for the Bay Area here. Includes Sacramento, I-5 corridor, all the way down towards Merced. But you can see Fresno over here. Wind advisories are in effect, but big winds are coming here, folks. Gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour. Power outages would occur if these winds do materialize, and it looks like they are going to. Now, this is high surf warning. You can see this go all the way down the coastline here. Again, big waves from Vancouver Island all the way through Southern California here. So watch out. You know you're probably going to see a couple of the crazy guys out there trying to surf some of these waves, but you might want to pause and wait a little bit here because there's going to be beach erosions, and this is going to be a chop that you're probably not used to here across much of the coast of California. Now, this is Southern California. Rainfall late tonight and into Thursday. You can see the higher terrain, big rainfall amounts coming up here. Any burn scar areas are going to be susceptible to those mudslides, so heads up for that. Now, what's going on here? We're looking here at the Northern Hemisphere. You can see Alaska, BC, Washington, California here. We have the strongest jet stream in the planet ripping across Asia, across Pacific Ocean, pointed at the west coast of North America here. And you can put it in motion here. I'm just going to let it play. And you can just see this thing just continue to burrow into California here on through the 10-day forecast there. And now, why is this going on? I mean, what's driving this here? Well, basically, it's because the cold air contrast over the North Pole here and the warmer air to the south. That's why mid-latitude cyclones develop, is the contrast between cold and warm air, different than tropical systems. But here you can kind of see that the dynamic tropopause pressure, you can see that tight gradient here, and that's what's driving that jet stream. And you can see these systems continue to impact the Pacific Northwest all the way down through California here as we go on in through this weekend, and then following on into next week. Additional strong systems potentially for California. As you can see, these continue to rotate down into the west coast of North America. Now, this is integrated vapor transport. This is how we measure atmospheric rivers based on duration and the amount of vapor transported into the area. Here's our initial storm here. Big rains coming as this front marches all the way down the coastline. Let's hope this doesn't hang out a little bit longer over any given area, like I mentioned yesterday. But it pushes all the way through Southern California here. Then additional systems come on in here, and you can see more atmospheric river conditions for central Northern California, and eventually pushing down towards Southern California here. But look at the duration of some of these storms coming in here as we go on into next week here. And this is the GFS, what we're looking at, the American model. But look at the intensity of some of these storms. This is really going to be a culmination of events here that's going to cause some tremendous impacts here across the state of California. You cannot highlight that fact enough. Now, if we back up a little bit here and we drop down to the European model, you can see on through next week, some of these systems are just very intense moving into the Bay Area. Very powerful low pressure system here. A little bit of difference here with the GFS, but the the overall picture is the same with continued dynamic systems moving into California. Now this here, we're looking at total precipitation. So get ready for this one here. We're just going to let this run out. Actually, this is the European of 12Z. Let's go ahead and check out GFS since it's already run. If we put this into motion, you can see the amount of precipitation with the first storm as it drives all the way down through Southern California here. Big precipitation amounts across the Bay Area, Sierra Nevada here as we go on into now Friday morning. Now watch what happens as these next systems come in here. Just continuous additional precipitation. Look at some of these areas up north, over a foot. Sierra Nevada, coastal areas here, all the way down towards Southern California. Big precipitation amounts, and this just continues on through the 10-day period here. And look at some of these amounts that are showing up. Hopefully this does not come into fruition, because this would be absolutely devastating for some communities here across Northern California and the coastal areas from Southwest Oregon all the way down through the Bay Area. Would be just absolutely devastating. You're talking about having coastal highway washed out in some of these areas, washed out, and potentially flooding I-5, and just crazy things that you can't even really imagine would happen, have the potential of happening with this kind of situation here as you go on in through the extended forecast. So hopefully something changes here with these additional systems, because this is just not really tolerable for many of the portions of California. Now taking a look here, total snow Kuchera ratio. You can see the big snows coming up with this first system here as you go on in through Wednesday night. Heads up, you know that a lot of travelers are going to be up there that are not prepared, and they're going to get stuck, which seems to happen every time a big snow falls across the Sierra Nevada here. But then as we go on into the future here, you can see just some of these impressive snowfall totals showing up here. This is the European as of yesterday. The GFS has much more, up over 200 inches for some locations. And in fact, since I said that, you can see the max is up over 220 inches for some of these locations, as we're just pegged off scale for the amount of snowfall that's coming for the Sierra Nevada. Now this is max 10-meter wind gust. You can clearly see this system here. Big winds for the higher terrain, even down through the valley here across I-5. As you saw, the high wind warnings are in effect for many of the areas here down through the coastal regions. Up over 70 miles per hour are possible. And then you go on to the future here, and there'll be additional systems that you can see some of these wind gusts get bumped up. But this is an accumulated 10-meter max wind gust here. Now looking at San Francisco, you can see the mean is still up towards 60 miles per hour as you go into tonight, into tomorrow morning. So really this is going to start probably this afternoon for San Francisco down there. So gusts to 60 miles per hour are possible for the city there, and stronger in the higher terrain, of course, and along the immediate coastline. And you can see additional systems coming in here through the weekend and next week as well. Now taking a look here, precipitation amounts. You can see 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 storm systems rolling through the area here. This is 24-hour precipitation amounts here. So another couple inches on that already very saturated, some of those hillsides across the Bay Area. This is going to be really problematic, and then potentially additional systems as we go through early next week. It's going to cause some huge problems. Mount Shasta here, you can just see the barrage of precipitation coming as we go on in through next week here, shown in the European Ensemble members. This is Los Angeles. You can see the initial system here, and then another very powerful storm system coming through early next week as well. It's going to cause some really big problems, especially in the higher terrains there. Mount Shasta here, did I just go over that? I might have, so I probably duplicated that one. But again, look at all the precipitation coming. This is Ukiah. Get the same picture there. You guys are getting the gist of just what is coming down line here for California here as we go on into next week. This is Mount Shasta wind speed here. You can see some of these ensemble means well up towards 70 miles per hour, gusts to 80 miles per hour in some of the higher terrain out there. So be prepared, Mount Shasta City, places like that out in the boonies there. Watch out for these big winds coming, and potentially more as we go on in through next week. Now this is significant wave height here, and you can clearly see our storm system here. Kind of bullseye in Northern California, Southwest Oregon there, spreading large waves from Vancouver Island all the way through Southern California there. Just like to show this graphic. You can see Hawaii out here, the west coast of North America, as these waves really target Northern California here as we go through the day tomorrow. This is the 6 to 10 day. No change. I think I showed this one yesterday. They have not updated it yet. In fact, we can check. Nope, they have not. But you can see the bullseye there for California, which is fully warranted with what the models are showing. An 8 to 14 day, nothing changed from yesterday there. And also, this is kind of a good graphic here. I think this was in the National Weather Service Los Angeles down there, and they talk about not underestimating the power of water. 6 inches of fast moving water can knock over and carry away an adult. You can start to carry away your car at 12, and 8 to 14 inches of fast moving water can carry away your SUV. So heads up for that. Does not take much at all. So just kind of hinting upon the fact, again, that the storm system, as damaging as it may be, there's going to be more coming into California here over the next 10 days. I want to highlight that fact here. Do not let your guard down. It's the culmination of rainfall across some of the higher hills and across some of the areas and the saturated soils that are really going to be problematic here when we bring additional systems in through this weekend and on in through next week. So just have a heads up. This is an ongoing thing here across the state of California. So heads up, listen to the National Weather Service, tune in for my briefings here. I'll do another one tomorrow unless for some reason I'm out chasing down here on the Southwest Washington or Oregon coast here tomorrow and doing some wave watching, but I'm not sure if I'll do that just yet. But otherwise, expect a briefing tomorrow morning, and if not, I'll probably do a live stream when I go out and about. Maybe we can do a Q&A on the weather there across the state of California and the Pacific Northwest. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.